Hello everyone, welcome to my video. I hope you're doing great. Well, as the topic suggests, today I'm going to talk about the factors, the phenomena, the kind of processes or checks and balances which the CFO org uses to kind of judge or to ascertain or to fix the amount of capital to be invested in the existing applications. And when I use the word existing, I mean the legacy IT applications, the homegrown IT applications versus the cloud migration to the cloud services model. So essentially, the CFO org may be confronted with various kind of decisions. However, the ideology behind it remains the same. The CFO org may be looking for judging maybe one project versus the whole spend, or maybe one particular horizontal or vertical IT spend, or maybe the whole IT budget, the whole CIO org's IT budget, and when divided into homegrown legacy or legacy applications versus migration to cloud. So let's get started. Well, essentially, the need to go to cloud, or the typical decision makers which kind of put their decision on a cloud migration or the flight of capital from legacy applications to cloud are more or less driven by three or four pillars. One is the technology or the business driven, where like the technology says that, okay, hey, you know what, we have this ramshackle IT applications which we kind of had maybe 15, 20, 30 years ago, and certain technologies are that old, like they're even older than me, like mainframes for that matter. So one is technology or business driven. Second one is data compliance driven, that okay, in certain companies where or certain sectors, they are far more averse, or they may be far more inclined to move to cloud applications versus the others. Say, for example, healthcare. Healthcare generally is reluctant, healthcare or banking, as compared, or the government is generally reluctant in moving to the cloud as compared to maybe a steel industry or an airline company, or maybe a group of hotels or something. And the third one is the third pillar is budget or finance driven, and that is I'm going to talk to all about. So I'll be only concentrating on the CFO org's mindset in how do they appraise the projects or the whole IT spend. So essentially, the thing is that any CFO org, when they kind of at the start of the year, before start of the fiscal year, or even during the year is going on, they may get someone knocking at the door that, hey, we have this huge big cloud migration which we are thinking, or maybe we are in FY23, so for FY24 this would be the budget, or this would be the budget. So the way they see it, predominantly the finance org, the CFO org, says that, okay, I have this, like I said, a ramshackle IT application, and the maintenance is running into millions of dollars. It's like, still maintaining your grandfather's Austin 1960s or something like that. So how much is the maintenance, and because the technology is almost close to obsolescence or is already obsolete, so the maintenance bills are rising, or like by maybe 15-20% every year, like in certain egregious cases can be going up to by 30% every year. So the reluctance of the business not to go, or because of various reasons, is actually one of the key indicators that, okay, I am already paying so much for my maintenance. I don't have money to fund for new initiatives. So all my capital, like 60% or 70% of my capital is gone. My budget is gone, just only to fund for the maintenance of the legacy applications. So that is one thing. The CFO or kind of sees that, okay, how much money, how much capital, how much capex dollars would I be able to save in case if I move to cloud? So maintenance is one of them. Although in like seeing from an accounting standpoint, it can also look like as an OPEX expenditure, because it follows a kind of a SaaS pattern, but more or less from finance discussion, not necessarily from accounting discussion, it's still a costly upkeep and maintenance for legacy applications. So this is one of the very major item. And assuming the fact that, okay, that has been cleared by the business, the CIO org, and the other stakeholders, and they have said that, okay, this can be migrated to cloud owing to the complexity, owing to the non-complexity, or owing to the scalability or whatever. So then they see that, okay, in case if we move to cloud, how much of my assets I would be able to free? And here I'm not talking of the monetary assets like what I said in the maintenance, the assets like real assets. Say, for example, I have a data center and 3 DR sites in different parts of the country. So would I be able to completely shut down my data center, or maybe turn it down by, say, 25%? And free out that, and I'll be able to reduce my data center usage by power or staffing or enterprise wear and all those kind of stuff. So can I free all those assets, and can I actually sell certain assets at a salvage value, or there are buyers available in the market who are buying like depreciated infrastructure assets, or the licenses. The licenses can be sold to like few of the resellers, and so how much is the money is being freed by the removal of my annual obligations or monthly obligations on account of those applications? How much is my one time, as in accounts what we call as the what's the name? It's unusual revenue coming through the salvage sale of the assets. So that is another thing, as you can see, that okay, so much money is now being freed. So instead of 60% of my capex, now my capex is only 55%. So 5% I reduced because of this initiative. And how much is my revenue enablement in case if it's a revenue enablement kind of project? So maybe let's assume that it's this kind of cloud initiative is for an airline who wants to modernize its ticketing systems, and just because of that, it's going to be able to sell its tickets, or maybe to different other platforms, ticketing platforms. So maybe say some hotel or chain of restaurants where this can be deployed to multiple outlets without any use of any capital expenditure. So how much is the revenue enablement unless if it's a customer facing kind of engagement. Otherwise, if it's an internal one, then there is no essentially a revenue. And another item is my termination, and this is on the other side. So generally, cloud providers come, or cloud generally comes as a very simplistic kind of a thing, that hey, you know what, you have to pay $100,000 a month and then you're good. But no, that's not the point. 100,000 a month, that means if it's a contract for say 3 years, so we are looking for $3.6 million. $3.6 million if the company's CFO, the CFO commits to the supplier, or now if I talk about the whole category, maybe we are talking about 100 or 110 million, $150 million spent, but there is no termination protection. So definitely CFO org will either battle it out to have those termination protection built in, or if not, then they'll have to have provisions built in that, okay, just in case, because of the insolvency of the supplier, insolvency of us, performance issues, or any regulatory changes, any outages, any force majeure, any governmental issues, any litigations, or whatever may be the case, if this deal is terminated, then this $150 million at the whole cloud program will go down the drain. So that's also one very, very important thing for the CFO to see. They don't just see the obvious that, okay, it's $100,000 a month, it's a cost stream. No, they also see what will happen if this doesn't go as per the plan. So essentially, all of that till now generates a kind of a ROI. But again, there are other factors as well. On the cloud, like I said, it comes as a very innocent thing that this is the cost stream, but no. There are hidden professional services. So for example, if a company decides to migrate, let's say some system which was set up, some server farms for this particular airline was set up in maybe mid-90s. So it's almost like 35 years of operations. And now to migrate to cloud, they would have to hire a professional services company to migrate, to firstly take the data, lift and shift, and then migrate it to the cloud. So that is often a non-reported kind of a cost, which the CFO org is always very cognizant of. That, okay, how much should be my professional services cost at a deal level, at a category level, at a program level, and at a corp level. So eventually this hits the P&L in the first year, essentially, unless and until it's a very, very huge program. Otherwise, this transformation exercise is one capital guzzler, just like maintenance. So they often see that, okay, how much is my hidden professional services, which is certain people also call it as lift and shift cost, or the transformational cost from the traditional IT infra to cloud model. And then the CFO org also sees that what is my volumetric discount, or how would this particular program behave in case there are volumetrics ups and downs. So it's a steady stream of cost. Say for example, at a program level, the CIO and the CFO org sees that, okay, these 11 cloud programs are gonna give me a monthly run of, say for example, $4 million. But how much would be this expenditure go up? How much of this expenditure would be a fluctuation in case of the volume fluctuation because of the growth of the company, ramp up of the operations, a merger or an acquisition or anything like that. So in that case, how much would be my cloud budget in that particular case? How the contract is like crafted in a way that it would be able to handle the volume ups and downs. And in the same breath, I want to say that the CFO also tries and sees that, okay, this is a good cloud program, but how about the renewal? Because cloud has a relatively smaller shelf life financially as compared to a traditional IT infrastructure whose lifespan is at least like 7 to 10 or 15. In certain cases, like I said, it's even older than me. So in that case, the CFO kind of sees that, okay, how much would be the spend after this initiative, after this contract, say for 3 years? What will happen if we decide to be in this relationship for 5 years, 6 years? So how is the supplier? Is this what is the general market trend of the cloud renewal? Like, is it 5%? Or is it some egregious, oh my God, kind of like 40%, 50% generally? Yeah, just in case if you're like, no, this is not realistic, but yeah, this happens. So they generally see that, okay, how would a renewal look like if this cloud program is kind of extrapolated for the double of its tenure or something like that. And finally, then they see that, okay, generally in the cloud providers, there are only 3 or 4 like major cloud providers like AWS, Google, or Azure, Oracle Cloud. So how is my present contractual arrangement, and how is my how much of my spend to the cloud is going to count on my contractual obligations of minimum committed spend? So a combination of all these factors, sometimes something is assigned more weight. Like in certain cases, the maintenance can be a big issue if it's a homegrown traditional IT infrastructure which is like 35 years old. Then there are a lot of human elements to that. It may result into loss of jobs and things like that. So in that case, maintenance or lift and shift or the disposal of the IT or real assets and things like that, redeployment assumes a bigger significance. In certain cases, the termination assumes a bigger point. In certain critical applications, if the company so decides, if the CIO or kind of takes a judgment call that they will be migrating some of the super critical applications to cloud, then they also see that, okay, how much would be my volumetrics up and down? How good is the longevity of this particular engagement, this relationship, or how are the relationships, like how is this supplier working in the other small arrangements within the company or with the peers? So essentially, these are more or less the major items on which a CFO org kind of appraises a particular cloud request or maybe a cloud category or fiscal year spend on whether to go for OPEX or CAPEX or something like that, like on traditional IT applications or migration to cloud. Well, there can be more which I may have missed. So in that case, I would rather solicit your comments and yeah, your comments in case like how did you like my video, and just in case if you liked my video, do like, share and comment, and I look forward to see you in yet another video dealing with similar or a different topic. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.